Welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. And listen, if you are a speaker and you've been wanting to get on stages, this is the place to be, especially if you've been wanting to get on the TED stage, because today's guest, Kim Parry, who has become near and dear to my heart, she pulls back the curtain. She has been on the She has been on the TEDx stage, backstage, front of stage. She's been on the red dot. And she shares everything that she learned. That was stumbling over that sentence. Let me try that again. She has been on the TEDx stage, and she shares everything that she learned leading up to it, what backstage was like, what the actual experience was like, and more importantly, what it has been like since she got off the TEDx stage. Now listen, if you're a speaker, I just want to put this out in front of you. First of all, thank you for being here on this episode. We talk and pull back the curtain on the business versus the hobby of speaking, and she's one of the predominant experts, I believe, in the field, just because of her experience. Here's the other thing I want you to just pay really careful attention to. If you have a stage that you're shooting for, this episode is for you. If you have a stage that you're gunning for, maybe it's a TED stage, maybe it's a big name brand stage, I don't know what it might be, but you do. I want you to ask yourself, and I asked this question in the episode as well, but I want you to ask yourself right now, what would I do tomorrow if I was on that stage today? Think about that. I'll see you in the episode. Okay, so I am so grateful you came back for part 2 because we didn't get into this in part 1, and I'm just like, I want an expose. But okay,
goodness.
So,
and we might go to church on this one. You and I were riffing so bad last time, right? This is the podcast or the thing I wish I would have had.
That's going to be the title.
Ago.
What I wish I would have known.
Or before you spend money on a get paid to speak program, watch this episode.
Can we just say that right up front? Because there are, once you start even talking around your phone to your friends about wanting to start speaking, you're going to get hit with ads. Uh-huh. Now, my husband tested this. You know, he's a digital forensic analyst, right? Yeah. He had a group of people shut off their phones, and then they talked about something for an hour, and then they turned on their phones and they got ads for that, which this can be weaponized, by the way. Talk about adult diapers with your friends around their phones. It's great. Right. So you're going to get ads, and these ads are going to say guaranteed TED Talk or guaranteed booking gigs and guaranteed this and that. And I'm sitting here like you in the speaking industry for how many years? And I'm like, excuse me, there's no guaranteed stages unless you own the stage. You can't guarantee to put anyone on any stage. And it breaks my heart because new and upcoming speakers will see that and say, well, that's what I want. I want a guaranteed stage. And they'll click on the link and they'll pay $5,000 and then they'll get hoodwinked and they'll be like, I was guaranteed this. I was told this, and that's not what it is. And I'm so annoyed and frankly pissed off at the hoodwinkers and the people that leverage the respectable desires of good people hearts against them and promise things they can't deliver. I tell my kids that all the time. You don't promise anything you can't deliver. Yeah. And that, okay. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Well, and that's where we get into the fact that people say that we're in a trust recession, and we are, and AI is accelerating that. everyone hears this discussion.
I actually haven't heard that phrase before. I like it.
That we're in a trust recession.
We are.
Yes. And that selling is different. Marketing is different because so many people are skeptical because of this. And then with AI, where you've got AI generated content and not sure what's real, what's not. We're in a major trust recession. And one of the things that I say is the reason we're in a trust recession is because we've been in a character recession for a while. For a while. And I do think even if it's not intentional hoodwinking, there are things in the speaking industry that if you're in the industry, you know, and it's not necessarily trying to be manipulative, but it's using words like book a stage, get paid to speak, get booked on a stage with no following, no
those drive
whatever,
me crazy.
Right?
Get booked on a stage with no talk, no following, no blah, blah, blah.
And get paid to speak. And all of the pictures are of a corporate type stage or an event type stage, a live event type stage.
Or
but
collegiate
when
stage.
you get, a physical stage with an in-person audience, which when most people are going into the speaking industry and you hear getting paid to speak, most people know corporate is where the money is. And so they're thinking, oh, okay, this is how to get paid in corporate. I know, because we've all been there, right? When you start the career. And they're not lying per se to say, I can teach you how to get booked on a stage where you can get paid to speak within this amount of time with no following. Well, what the majority, I haven't done the research, so don't quote me on this.
Based on experience.
But I would
We
say
all know.
like at least 80% are teaching how to do a sales webinar.
And that's what they don't tell you, because that's not the sexy part.
But in the speaking industry, that is a stage.
It is a stage. Absolutely.
It is a stage. And
but when they misrepresent it with a physical picture, they know exactly what they're doing, because putting a picture of you on a computer screen up there is not attractive.
And the people who will buy into that and not see it for what it is are people who don't understand the industry, who don't understand stages, who don't understand all the nuances of this, and they get into that. And yes, you do learn sales skills, and there is a difference between sell from stage and a keynote. There's all kinds of different types of talks. There's all kinds of different types of stages. And most people who are wanting to break into the industry or start in the industry don't know that. I didn't.
No.
And that's what I'm saying. This is the podcast I wish I would have had, just for an understanding of, oh, that's what they mean by stage. And so they're not lying.
No, they're not.
They're not lying. They are saying, I can teach you how to get on a stage. But the stage most people can teach you how to get on immediately is a stage that you create.
Exactly.
And that's going to be your own podcast, your own webinar, your own YouTube channel. All of those are stages. And if you're not landing paid stages, create your own. And so the methodology is right for people who are new in the industry. You book people on podcasts, getting on other people's stages. A podcast is a stage.
It is. It's
right?
called a digital stage. Absolutely.
And it's a good stage, and it's good visibility if it's aligned, right? But it's understanding that the word stage can mean a lot of different things, that having a keynote can mean a lot of different things. And when you're hearing you can get paid $10,000 to $25,000 for a keynote, yes, you can. And there are people who come out of the gate and can do that with a certain amount of experience, depending on what your talk provides, depending on how you pitch it, if you have marketing ability, if you have sales skills, and if you have a network. Someone who comes out of corporate with a lot of corporate experience and can basically do fractional CMO work or fractional executive work and already has a network in that industry, well, they can come out of the gate
Network
and
is
get
a big
paid
thing.
to speak, especially if they know how to negotiate a contract and they know corporate booking and sales cycles, and they have a finger on the pulse of what's needed in their specific industry and things like that. Yeah, someone can come out of the gate and land a $10,000 to $25,000 gig. And so they're not lying. Those are results that they can produce. But there are so many things that are not discussed that I wish I would have had, that I would love for anyone watching this who says, I want to break into the speaking industry. I want to do that. Like the title of this would be, Before You Pay for a Speaker Program.
Please watch this.
Please watch this, so that you understand that a webinar can be considered a stage. So if someone's saying, hey, I can teach you how to make money from a stage, that doesn't necessarily mean get a corporate contract and land paid in-person speaking gigs. A lot of the time it's you create your own webinar, you run ads to it to fill it, and then you do a sales pitch in it. And if you don't have those skills, it's going to take some time to develop the knowledge of how to sell from stage.
So these speeches do gain the value of becoming a $10,000 to $15,000 speech. But until that speech is valuable enough to be compensated at 10 or 15, it won't be compensated. And you need to have that value, that your speech becomes that valuable when you also have the sales skills, when you also have the network, when you also have the results to prove it, when of course the keynote is good and it actually produces results. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation because so many people, I think now more than ever, with the trust recession, there's also an opportunity.
Yes.
It is so easy to succeed if you just do what you say you're gonna do. It is so easy to build a network of trust if you just do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it and take feedback.
Yes.
And you improve and implement and be honest. Just be honest. Just tell the truth. Right. It's so simple. So this is the truth about where it looks like to start in the speaking industry. And I love that you said these ads aren't necessarily lying. And I don't think everyone in these ads is trying to hoodwink people. I just want you, the listener, to go in with the proper expectations of, we're going to tell you right here what they're going to ask you for $2,000 or $5,000 to learn. We're going to tell you in the next 30 minutes or in the next 60 minutes. Maybe we'll get, I don't know. We'll take however long it takes, right? And I want you to know this because one, I want you to be educated going into these conversations when you see these ads. Number two, I actually want to encourage you. I want to encourage you and make you understand and help you understand that it can come to you sooner than you might think. I'm going to tell you that there are no shortcuts.
No.
But the fulfillment of speaking can come to you sooner than you think. The fulfillment of speaking comes to you long before the $50,000 keynote on the Tony Robbins stage does. Long before that. It can come to you in a webinar. It can come to you in a podcast when someone sends you the letter that says, your podcast changed my life.
Yeah.
And you did it for free. Right. And maybe you didn't, maybe you were just a guest on a show. So the fulfillment can come to you sooner than you think. And at the same time, you have to know the unpretty, unsexy parts of what it takes to become that $50,000 speaker.
Right.
So let's just start chronologically.
And as we're saying, to be fully forthcoming, I am not a $50,000 speaker yet.
Yeah, I have not had
life goals, right? And so in saying that, I'm like, if we're talking transparency, I'm not a $50,000 speaker.
Yeah,
so
I have not accepted a check from somebody else for $50,000.
It is possible, right?
Keynote.
Mel Robbins.
Oh, she's fantastic, but she still speaks for free too. And that's the thing.
In different settings and for different reasons. And she has her own stage. And she's just a phenomenal human. I haven't met her
one of us.
personally,
I will be totally transparent. Neither one of us has taken a $50,000 check from somebody else. Yeah. But I have been paid tens of thousands of dollars to speak when I knew how to produce the revenue by providing enough money. I make more money speaking in my own events than I do for taking a check for being paid to speak at somebody else's.
And that is information that is good for this audience to know. When you hear about making money from stage, there's different ways that you monetize a stage. And I think in the early days, or at least the dream that brings a lot of people to speaking, is you hear you can make a lot of money speaking, and they think the speaker fee.
They do, and that's a mistake.
And that is a part of it.
This is point number one.
Talk about...
Take notes, point number one.
And this is something that I did not know. So and you run your own events, which are fantastic. I've actually had the opportunity to be part of your event.
Made it golden. I love
events.
It.
Thank you.
No, you really did. The energy of every person in that room, especially since you were speaking at the events, that's what makes it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my favorite part of speaking, are the audiences that I meet. I mean, I have people that keep in touch with me. I from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. We're starting a love note wall back there. I have to find all my love notes, and we're going to stick them up from all of our guests and stuff.
Oh, that's okay. I'm going to send a love note because I'm making it on the wall.
I started to write them. I have Sharpie on these walls of all of the followers.
I love it.
You're here with me. I feel you.
No, I love it. But because this is what I didn't know. So you put on your own events. Talk about monetizing from stage, well, especially when you put on your own event, because you're not paying yourself.
Okay, so this
you
is
don't
really
get a
cool.
check.
I don't. Yeah, it's not like I wrote a check to myself. Congrats, right? I'm gonna go cash that and pay the processing fee. Anyway, so I was just talking with a guy who wants to throw a speaker showcase event, kind of like we did, right? Okay. And I want to give you what I told him, because he's like, will you check my page for me, check my website, see what you think of it? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I check it out, and he's got the dates on there. And so I'm asking him, hey, where is this happening? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, how do you know if you have dates then? You don't have a venue, you haven't rented it. And he said, okay, fair point. And then I looked down there and it said, okay, $1,997 for a ticket. And he hadn't launched the website yet, so you couldn't buy anything. I couldn't test his funnel or anything like that. And I said, well, how did you price this? And he's like, I mean, I just kind of feel like that's what people would pay. And I was like, how much is your venue? Do you know how much it's going to cost in your venue? Do you know how much of that is going to be profit? How much do you have budgeted for marketing? How much do you have budgeted for fulfillment? How much do you have budgeted do you know if I know of a venue that charges you $1 every time you scooch a chair? It's ridiculous. And they don't tell you till after. It's nuts. We moved 700 chairs without knowing it would cost us $700.
I'm suddenly like not wanting to move at all.
It was wild.
I get shifty.
Right? So these if you don't know how to do it, it's easy to lose money on events. Mm-hmm. I've seen it happen more often than not with very high profile people. And it's because they don't understand how to price things for their event. There's not a COGS, cost of goods sold analysis, right? So the point number one being, there's more than one way to get paid to speak. Your speaker fee isn't the only way. Here's the other way. And I cannot underscore how important it is to throw your own events. We were just talking about Alex. Alex is hosting her own event in Canada, and I'm so stoked for her. And the first reason I told her to host her own event, she said, Marianne, I've been working with you. You've got me on a ton of podcasts. What's next? And I was like, oh, love this question. Love this question. Throw your own events. And she's like, And I said, listen to what my friend Scott Donald did. I had him on the podcast. Great episode. He was on Tony Robbins' stage.
Okay.
And then he was here at my house. I felt so cool, right? And I was like, Scott, how did you get found by Tony? You know what he said? He said, I was throwing my own event, and Tony has scouts. Mm-hmm. That go to other people's events. Yeah. They loved what I was doing and they invited me to speak. And I was like, hot damn. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Now, when you're throwing your own events, yes, you can monetize, but you have to understand your COGS. When we threw our own event, I'll just pull back the whole curtain on this thing, right? So we had our eye on a venue and I got a quote for the whole day and what the deposit would be and all of that. And I was like, okay, when is the deposit due? Right? Mm-hmm. And she said, the deposit is due by this day to hold the venue for this. And I was like, great. Now, before I asked her when the deposit was due, I had designed what I wanted the event to produce and what I wanted it to look like and get speaker keynotes recorded and all that stuff. And I knew the venue could do it. And before I even asked about a venue, I polled my audience. I send out an email. You got it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I were to, this is key. If I were to hold an event that could accomplish this, and for you, would you even want to come? And I got back 50 yeses. And I was like, okay, now I have interest.
And of the 50 yeses, how many actually end up doing it? Because some people are like, oh, I got 50 yeses. They're going to
You won't have 50
up.
People.
No.
50 yeses does not mean 50 people.
Exactly. That's where the realistic expectations, though,
there's attrition.
Need to be there.
You will have attrition. So,
but if you get 50 yeses, what percentage? Well, and I will say with Marianne too, I've been in your world for a little bit. It's been since 2023.
Well,
I know.
I'm so lucky.
It's so fun. But you have built a brand of what you said here. If you were going to do something, you follow through. You do what you say you're going to do, and that is what I expect from you. That's what I expect from you, young lady.
That from me.
But no, it's what I expect from you. So when you
That's
send
an honor
out,
to hear you say that. Actually,
yeah, no. So when you sent out something saying, if I did an event that can do this, 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 and this, and I know when you put on a speaker event, you understand the speaking industry. You understand the assets that are needed.
I should have you on the podcast more often. Yeah. Make me sound good.
Girl, I know. Because it is good. But I knew when I got that email, I knew, okay, this is the kind of quality that I would want for myself.
Right.
You don't cut corners and do cheap quality to make money off of people. If you're doing an event, you do the event you would want to speak at.
Well, and it was important for me.
Yeah, that's what I knew I could expect from you. So you built your brand before doing an event.
And trust is really important. Even on the website, I didn't put stock photos of event centers on the website.
Yeah.
The website was photos of the venue that we'll be speaking at. Like, I didn't put flashy lights and big stages just to make an appeal. I'm like, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
You'll be in this room. Right? There's no stock photos if I can avoid it. So we got the yeses. The 50 was just enough to understand, do we have enough interest to proceed? Because if I got 2 or 3 yeses, I just would have said, well, it's just not enough interest. Yeah. We're not going to do that then. Yeah. In fact, I'm trying to plan a trip to Peru. And I don't have enough yeses yet. So I'm not going to invest the time, the money, the marketing dollars, the ticketing. I'm not going to do that until I get the interest. So please don't create products unless you have interest.
Doing the market research. I wish I would have known that in the early days of starting a business.
Same.
Market research is essential.
Absolutely.
In the early days. If you want to know if you can get booked on stages, or if you want to know you can fill a webinar, send out an interest email, see how much interest you get, and that helps you gauge, okay, what is this going to look like coming out of the gate?
Exactly.
And I will tell you, every single speaker program I've done, and I've done a few, but every single speaker program starts, and business program actually, starts with activating your network, your friends, your family, your
don't
community,
be afraid to reach
your
out
neighborhood,
to them.
your whatever. And if you can't talk about it with friends and family, it's going to be a struggle getting marketing going from the get-go. So doing market research is part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can't be excited talking to friends about it, then how are you going to talk to strangers about it and be compelling? You're not.
Right.
Okay, so I'll fast forward this because this isn't about event design, but when you want to make money on your own stages, we understood all of that. Then we budgeted the venue, and then we collected deposits from the people who said yes, and we used those deposits to book the venue. So we're not in the red for the venue. Right. Okay. Then we advertise for vendors. Vendors are also helping sponsor the event. They get promotions and emails. They paid $50 for booths or whatever it might be. So they're helping with the additional cost of the venue. Then I start marketing the tiers of the spots that are available. We sold out on spots. We have 12 spots available. We sold them all, and we provided everything that we promised. So on that event, I think if I remember the math correctly, we walked away making $15,000 on that event.
Well, but even from that though, you've got back end programs and back end things that provide a motivation for creating a stage.
Yes,
right. It's not even just the event.
We didn't sell at the event.
No,
this is important.
No, yes,
there are selling events. Yep. And there are fulfillment events.
And it was a fulfillment.
This was a fulfillment event. The people paid to be there. I'm not going to try and upsell you on the next fancy schmancy thing and try and extract more money out of you. Don't get me wrong. I love lifetime value, all of that, right? But you're there to be fulfilled on what you already paid for. Yep. If we want to do more business together, we can. But I'm not going to hard pitch at an event where you already paid to be there. That just doesn't seem right to me.
But the relationships and the visibility, that's what's talked about when it's earning money from a stage. And when people work with you, when they know what you do, when they find out, oh, you do podcast bookings, and they have an experience that they know you're going to fulfill on, that's where when people talk about making money from stages, a lot of times the reason you create a stage is because it has something to do with what your offers are, right? Most people aren't just altruistically saying, hey, I'm trying to create an event for no reason. And if you do, that's great charitable service, but it's not
because you're being paid already somewhere else.
Doing. Yeah, it's not what you're doing when they talk about making money from the stage. A lot of times it's from the back offers that come in. And so, yeah, you can get a speaker fee on a stage, but who's the audience? Is it aligned with what you do? Are you aligned with what they do? It's not just a matter of how many stages can I book, but it's going into it with intentionality of why am I creating this stage? What is my long game, right? What is my long game with this? If I'm going on a stage, if for this podcast today, it's just because I am so frustrated seeing so many people talking about getting paid to speak from a stage when there's a lot of reality behind it that people need to know. You need to know that there are different kind of stages, that there are different ways to monetize a stage. One way is a speaker fee. One way is if you can sell from stage. And in fact, if you're going to do sponsored speaking, like if you're going to pay to speak on a stage or if you're going to speak for free, usually it's either because it's an audience I care a lot about. I speak free at events for divorced women. Mm-hmm. sometimes because I know they don't have money because, I'm a divorced mama. And, women who are in the same spot that I was in, just trying to rebuild life and figure things out. I'll speak for free at those events because it's a market and a group that I just am very passionate about and love and don't mind serving. And there's other stages that I'll speak at for free because I know that it's an audience that's really aligned with what I do. And when they hear me speak, they're, I'm getting DMs or I'm getting emails and I'm getting interest.
Doesn't that feel so good?
Oh, I love it.
When you're done,
I love it.
Oh, I think there's an altruistic part of all of us that wants to know if we're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's not so much the personal validation, but it's knowing. I've been through a lot. Watch our last episode if you want that story. We don't need to get into that. But I've been through a lot, and it's seeing that everything that I've been through is helping someone else have an easier time of it.
And you're right. It's not personal validation. We don't need that. For me.
Some people do. So that's why some people
speakers do. You're right.
Yeah.
But I know for you, and I know it's true for me too, when I get those letters, that for me, it's an answer to prayer because when I die, I'm going to have to face God. And he's going to say, what'd you do with your talents?
Yeah.
Did you bury them? Did you show them? Did you give them? Because God gave us gifts not for us to keep. He gave us gifts for us to share. And whenever I get one of my love notes, I'm like, that is evidence that I'm on the right track and I'm doing some good, that I'm doing what God asked me to do.
Yeah.
I don't need it for me. That's just like, it's like, I'm fulfilling my responsibilities, right? It's not like, I need it to come. My ego is so fragile. No. It's a.
For me, it's reinforcement. It's it gets me fired up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's go do this some more.
It makes the hard days easier when it's like, is anyone even listening? Is it doing any good? Did I go through everything I went through for nothing?
Right.
That gets rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And one person.
Yeah.
One person is enough. But
But usually it's more. Okay. So
okay.
Point number 1.
So talking about the industry.
We get paid to speak either through speaking fees or we get paid to speak because we have a back-end offer or a back-end product, something above and beyond speaking. And usually people will want to do that because if you're speaking and you're really good and you're teaching, people will be like, that was great. Where can I get more? Like a Costco sample.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's an authority builder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would be the second point, do you think, that everyone needs to know when they're starting off in the speaking?
That being a good teacher, I was a teacher for a long time. If you've spoken at community events and things like that, there is a difference between speaking as a talent and as a skill and speaking as a craft is a very different thing. And you can book stages, free stages, lower paid stages. You can create stages. You can speak well. But when we're talking the higher ticket stuff, when we're talking, really making speaking a viable part of your business, that's when it's a craft. Like anything else, like any other business.
Between, you said talent and craft. Delineate those for me. How would you define those separately?
So talent. Your story that you talk about where you got bit by the speaking bug, and I will warn you, once you start speaking on stages, if it's something that you're even remotely interested in, once you get bit with the speaking bug, good luck, because it is a rush. Like I do when I speak on stage, I have to wear sweat absorbent stuff, and it's not because I get nervous, but you saw me backstage
before. So many calories.
Oh no, but I'm like,
it's a rush.
For me, I'm hyped. Like it's like I'm getting ready to play volleyball in high school again. Like I get hyped for the stage, and when you get hyped like that, and then you're hit with hot lights, it's like, I don't sweat because I'm nervous. I sweat because I'm bringing it.
Have you ever turned on your calorie counter when you're on stage?
I have. I should start wearing it.
I got 3,000 steps in like a 15-minute session.
I bet.
It was awesome. I was like, I don't need to go to the
So if you get bit by the bug, right, it comes. But you talk about your moment where it was speaking as a kid in church, and I've given those too, but mine was 6th grade graduation. I was asked
Were you a speaker?
I was asked to speak. I was the valedictorian of Golden Empire Elementary.
Can you be a valedictorian in 6th grade?
Okay, so it's not valedictorian, but I was a graduation speaker, and I do have to give a shout out, John Justo or Nikki Beers. I will tag you in this, and they can like put a comment in the bottom because they will know. But I was asked to be the speaker for my class. So there were 4 different 6th grade classes. And I was, writing the speech and doing these things. And I think when they ask a 6th grader to give a graduation speech, they're expecting like 1 minute, 2 minutes. And that's what the other people did. And then it was my turn. And I got up and I was ready to inspire and motivate this audience. In my puff sleeves.
With the shoulder pads?
Yes, like I'm telling you the generation. And I get up on the stage and I start talking about how, we are the future, like Whitney Houston said, like the children are the future. And when times get hard, we'll be hanging tough. And I like had this I was Rickrolling before it was a thing and had this motivational speech, like straight from my Walkman that went like 10 minutes. I'm not kidding, for the 6th.
I wish I could see this.
And I'm like moving the audience to tears, and they say it's from boredom, but I'm like, no, this is like, I am personally responsible for any success of the Golden Empire Eagles 6th grade graduating class, right? And got that. And so I loved speaking, loved doing it. And I've spoken throughout my life. I've been speaking professionally and paid to speak for over 20 years. And I've always been able to do it, and I can have an outline and I can go off the cuff. But when I got really serious about wanting to make speaking part of my business and start making real money in this, I knew I had the talent, I knew I had the skill set, but I came from academia, which is a very different beast. And they'll put on conferences like, this is the theme of the conference, and you take your knowledge, your skill set, your research, acumen, and you gear it towards that. So I can write papers, I can get papers accepted. With my speaking, a lot of people would come to me and say, oh, could you talk to this group about this? Could you, especially as a religious educator, people would ask me to come speak at religious activities or whatever and say, oh, can you speak on love? And can you speak on family? And so I could speak on any topic. And that's what I was used to. Mm-hmm. And being able to do that. And I could do it well, and I'd have my outline and just kind of riff and go. Well, when you get into the speaking business, I had good speaking skills, but as I started watching the $10,000, $25,000 speakers, and I'm telling you, when you get into an industry, if you get into acting, you watch other speakers, you watch it like a craft, you see what they do. And I actually, through Russell Brunson's network, I was introduced to Ben Carrington, whose movie just came out, Stand Out. I just met him for the first time a week ago, but I saw his keynote speech.
It makes your skin goosebumps. And
I've seen speakers for years, and I told him this. I said I would watch that keynote like game day video.
He's the kind of guy that makes you feel good about yourself, no matter where you are and no matter what you're doing.
I'm ready to rock the world.
Do you want to hear something fun?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had him on the show, right?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go find that.
Dude, he's such a...
he's a stellar human being.
Yeah, we were in the same ward together 10 years ago. So he disappeared for the Olympics, and then he came back speaking. I was like, wait, Ben, what? So we're going to go see...
It's Olympics right now. They just started today, right?
I know, opening ceremonies. Okay, so he... I'm excited to tell you this too, because look at these goosebumps. Look at this. Mm-hmm. So the movie's coming out. The movie's already out. We're going to go see it this weekend. I haven't had a chance to. I'm going to kick it myself. But I talked to Colton's parents.
Oh, okay.
The boy who plays young Ben, and they're coming on the show.
Oh, I'm
so gonna cry.
Cool.
So many tears.
So cool. Right.
Anyway, I'm a big fan of his.
Oh yeah. No, but when you talk about a craft, and that's what I told him, I said, he has a powerful story. He has a powerful story that's been made into a movie. Stand Out. Go watch it. I loved it. And P.S. He doesn't even know I'm plugging this, and he won't find out till after. But I'm such a fangirl, so I wasn't lying. I was totally legit when I met him. But the way he uses his body, the way he uses his voice inflection, the way he weaves his speaking points into a story.
Which is on purpose, by the way, right?
It is totally intentional. That's not riffing. That's not whatever. And that is having a talk that is your product. And that is when you have a craft. And every time you give it, you can tell someone who's a seasoned speaker because they're not going off the cuff. You can in a workshop, right? But when you're giving a keynote, and there is a difference between a keynote to a smaller audience, a keynote to, he was doing it at Funnel Hacking Live, right? So, I mean, that like 7,000, I think, 6,000 people. Like you're speaking to a 6,000 person audience, you've got to use your body in a different way. You've got to use the stage in a different way. You've got to work it in a different way. If you're speaking to a smaller room, this is the place I get in trouble with my kids because I have been blessed with a loud projecting voice, which is great for my industry, but in a car with a teenager, it can be a little much, you know? And so it's understanding what stage you're on, understanding your audience, understanding how to deliver, understanding what the event planner's needs and expectations are. It is very different than going in and just saying, oh yeah, I can speak. And a lot of people say, oh, I can speak and I have a story to share. People don't buy stories.
Nobody cares.
People don't buy stories. And again, Ben has an incredible story, but he has actionable points that come through that you can act on immediately and see an ROI. And it's that event planners pay for. They don't pay for your story.
Okay, I want to highlight this.
I'm going to have some caffeine.
Go have some caffeine, yes. And you take a break. Take a water break, too. I want you to drink some water. You're probably in the sauna because, you know, take us with you. We don't care if you pee on the toilet while you listen to the podcast.
I'll have to see it. I didn't pay for that show.
But this point that you made of craft versus talent, I love the way you put that. And here's why. The craft versus talent seems like an inward versus outward thing. The talent seems like, okay, it's for me. I can tell my story. I think my story deserves to get out there, and it's very self-centric. But the craft is, how can I leave the audience better with the story? What does the story do for me? I work with people a lot on creating tripwires and lead magnets so that their podcast appearances can be part of their business and sustaining them, right?
Again, when you have a stage where it monetizes is on the back end.
Right.
What's your link? What's your lead magnet? And it's not shady McGrady. It's just not. Like, that's a reality.
It's
and
like,
if you
I want
don't
that
have a lead magnet, that's great. You're telling your story.
Yeah, exactly. So I was working with someone on creating their lead magnet, and their lead magnet that they created initially was a compilation of short stories of their life.
Okay, so and like a book.
A
narrative.
A narrative. And they came to me and they said, I don't think it's not getting much traction. This was probably 90 days afterwards. And I said, it's not getting much traction. And I said, okay, well, I got to be honest, based on what I know about it, that doesn't surprise me. And here's why. Because the story is not followed up with a framework. I had someone that wanted to be a guest on the show, and I said, I need you to have a framework. I don't just give my stage to anybody. I need you to bless the audience in some way. I'm not here to be your therapist or a trauma
actionable way, not blessing steps. Them by feeling like there's something that we have in common.
No, this is, you need to leave with actionable steps, something you can do before you go to bed tonight. Once you have that framework, and what I'm hearing from you is that this is the difference between craft. This is the craft of it. I've crafted my story into something that can serve you with actionable framework, keys, steps that you can do before I'm done talking.
Like walk out of the room. Is there something I can apply?
I sent a text to a friend, or I threw away my Snickers bar, or I got that cute blouse on Amazon that Kim told me to get because it was actually really good for me, right? So this is the difference. And I've never heard it quite put that way. And I love the way that it's centered around what we all want to do as speakers is give back. We really do. Do we give back sustainably? Yes.
I will say good speakers.
Yeah.
I will say there's a lot of speakers who want the ego.
I guess I'm putting too big of a blanket on it.
Yeah, but the speakers, honestly, the speakers that are going to come here, the speakers who are coming here, a lot of speakers want to make money serving.
Yeah. If you're listening, how far are we into this episode? If you're listening into this episode this far, you're one of those people.
Yeah.
I can say that with confidence.
Yeah.
Right? So that's number 2, is not have just a vomit session where you're trauma dumping, but share your story in a way with the body language, with the tonality,
with the craft,
with the stage presence. I call it stage geography, where you move on the stage and why you move there.
And that will be different on different stages.
Yes, absolutely.
On the TEDx stage, my brother from another mother, I will have to say I absolutely adore him. A motivational speaker, right? An athlete, and worked the stage. And the event planner said, there were times that we weren't sure if we were going to keep you on camera, right? Because there's a reason there's a red dot.
Yeah.
Is you're supposed to stay in the vicinity of the red dot. But it turned out fine, right? But you got to be aware of what kind of a stage you have, how much you have to work it, what your landscape and your
exactly that. It's not just serving the audience, but exactly to what you said of what is your event coordinator wanting? What does the venue want? What is the person that's writing you the check if you're getting a stage fee? What do they want? Everyone that's looking to you in that room, and I don't want you to be a chameleon and just people please, but what is the expectation and how can you deliver on it?
And if you can't, that's where the integrity comes in. I've referred other speakers. If I'm in a conversation with an event planner and they're saying, okay, I want this, this, and this, and I realize, okay, they like the fact that I'm a stylist. It is something that is unique. It's my differentiator, right, in the speaking world. And they're like, oh, well, we want this kind of outcome. We want this kind of outcome. And I'm like, I mean, could I work around things to try to make something work for them? Yes, but I know people who deliver on that. And I just building my brand, building my integrity, my character bank. I'll say, I actually think the speaker would be better suited for you.
That's just a win all around.
Or if the budget is small and it's not a stage that really, fortunately at this point, right? Like fortunately at this point, I can at this point, that's not a stage that's aligned for me.
But you had to earn that. There was probably a time you would have said yes to any stage.
Yes.
And now you can afford to be picky, which is great.
To a point, right? Like we're building. But there's stages with that where I know that there are newer speakers who are breaking in or who are, trying to build that audience that would be willing to. And I give. Oh, by the way, Jason Ferguson is the name of my fellow TEDx speaker. Absolutely love his talk. So look up his TEDx talk. It's chronic optimism, I think I want to say.
Ooh, I like that.
And he's just a light. He's a gem. And you can even see it on his video, him moving all over. Like he's just hype. Like I can't be in the room with him without being like, I'm going to go conquer the world. But it's that's part of, I will say there's, knowing the difference between talent and craft, and then knowing the difference between hobby and business.
Okay,
when it comes to speaking.
This is important. I think we've touched on it a little bit, but
which is similar. But if you just want to speak and tell a story, you're going to be a hobby speaker. Mm-hmm. Most people don't pay for that, but people do want that as filler talks, or they'll want it, for school groups, community groups, things like that, bringing in interesting speakers. You can get your chops and you can get, some stages that you can talk about on social media, but it will be kind of hobbyist speaking. But when it's a business, it's understanding what it is that you're selling, and you're not selling a story, you're selling an outcome.
Bingo. Rewind that 15 seconds and listen to that part again.
Yeah, you're not selling a story, you're selling an outcome, and an outcome that you can deliver on and that you can deliver on. And honing that and understanding that that is the product that you are selling, and understanding the difference between, a sell from stage and not selling from stage. Some people will come into a keynote and sell from stage, and that can tank your brand. Mm-hmm. If that's not part of your conversation in the sales conversation, right? That's the difference between being a hobbyist speaker and being a business speaker. And you have to know, am I speaking to bring clients into my business, or am I speaking as my business, which are two different things? And then what is the offer on the back end? Because that really is, like, you can collect your fee, but it's, what can I do to help implement this? For a company? What can I do for a customer or an audience member who wants to work with me after? If that's not all fleshed out, you talked about lead magnets. A lot of time there's nothing to sell them into.
Right. Or you're not allowed to make even that recommendation. I coached a client who worked, and he got booked on the WealthCon stage with Ryan Pineda.
Okay.
So typically with those stages, with the motivational speakers that you'll see, and take a drink of water real quick. You can too.
Or caffeine.
Or caffeine.
However
straight of it, whatever you want. Typically, what will happen is they'll have a main driver for the event. And they'll want to focus putting the audience in front of that offer and that offer only. So they won't invite or allow their speakers to even make a CTA, even if it's a soft CTA means I don't put a dollar value on it. I don't sell it. But a soft CTA, like, hey, here's my QR code, download my thing, they don't allow that. And as a guest, it is our obligation to honor that.
Yes.
Right? So how do we use that stage if it's our ideal audience? This is what I said to him. I was like, well, if you're allowed to do slides, put your Instagram just on the bottom of your slides unobtrusively, right? And if the host is okay with it, usually they're fine with that. And typically when you're on a stage, people are looking you up on social media anyway. What you want to do on that social media is, since you're speaking that day, put a picture of you at the event. Hey, I'm here at WealthCon. Get this book. I'm only giving it away today at WealthCon, but put it on your socials, right? Respect, but you can also get in further connection with people that may want to work with you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not sleazy, skeezy, blah, blah, blah. And you don't subtly well, if you go to my social media, you're going to see, and you don't play that game. If you want to connect with people, just create a pathway for it while honoring the host.
Well, and for me, it's usually, in those situations, it's usually not on the stage, it's in the networking.
And that's the best.
For me, it's when it's off the stage and people are coming up and saying, oh, I'm curious about this, I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
But it's just good manners. And I will say, in this day and age, unfortunately, we've lost some of the grace of that. But, never go to a dinner with your hands empty, but you don't go into someone else's house and try to tell them how to run it.
No.
You don't try to go into someone else's house. I'll say I went to a Russell Brunson event, and he does funnels. He sells funnels. That's what he sells. And there were people who were there as attendees who were saying, oh, you should try this other funnel system. And I think they were doing it innocently, but I'm just sitting here and I'm like,
but it's classless.
I'm like, do you know whose house you're in?
Yeah, it's classless.
Do you know whose house you're in? And you use it yourself, do whatever, but you don't go into someone else's house and try to upsell them, upstage them. It's just, the art and the great, I think
I didn't know that, by the way,
art
in the beginning. I did not know that was against.
And it's kind of a tell.
Untold rules.
It's kind of a tell of new speakers, especially because they get excited to get in the room and they're like, oh, let me tell you about what I do, and they're in marketing mode.
Yeah.
But again, that's the difference between hobbyist and business. If you're going in as a business professional, go in as a professional. You honor the stage that you're on. A lot of people want to go in acting like they're the talent. I've never been to a Tony Robbins event in person.
You'd love it.
Well, no, but I've seen enough of his content, and I've seen the way that he approaches other people's stages and other people's houses, and he is gracious and giving and a man who created the industry,
basically,
right?
Yeah.
There were other speakers before him, but as we know, the modern motivational speaker, really, he created it. And so he could go in as ego, and he could go in as I know how to do this, but he is humble and gracious, and watch him on any podcast. He makes the host shine. Absolutely, just is totally there to give, is totally there to serve. And they go, like, you can see on their faces, like their lives are blessed just by having him as a guest, not because he comes in as ego, but because he comes in to serve. And that's class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's where it's, you can go in as a hobbyist, but if you're a professional, you've got to know what you're delivering. You've got to know your product. And it is a whole business. You've got to have marketing skills, sales skills, contract negotiation skills. And I'll say, I'm still learning a lot of this, as I get into the different phases.
I do want to say that that's a good point. All these skills that we need to master, they're hard skills, and there's a seemingly endless array of them. But I do want to say that we are all on our journey of doing that better. I don't know anyone. You could bring Alex Hormozy in here, and he has stuff to learn still. Tony has stuff to learn still.
If you ever have Alex and Layla come,
wouldn't that be fun?
I'm a fangirl. If they ever come on your show, I'm like, I may accidentally show up.
Oh, dude. Okay, I know what we're going to do.
I'll go to Vegas and
we have Alex and Layla.
Okay. We're speaking this into existence. So when you see this total fangirl,
because Richard gets mistaken for Alex all the time. Maybe we'll just pretend to be them one day. I have a buddy.
Needs a tank top.
We're going to do a podcast in a studio, and we're going to invite an audience in. Okay. I think that'll be a blast.
That'd be fun.
So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And I'll be in the audience.
Of course.
I've invited myself.
Of course, 100%.
Graciously and with class. I've invited myself, and I will not come empty-handed. I will come bearing gifts. But,
Well, you brought gifts to my house this morning, and I love this about you because you talk your walk.
Yeah.
Imagine if everyone could only talk about what they did.
Yeah.
What if it's walk your talk? What if we flip that on its head and only could talk about how we walk?
Yeah. It would make for some interesting dinner conversation.
Some jobs would be obsolete, but so the first point you made, there's more than one way to get paid to speak. The second point you made was talent versus craft. The third point you made was understand whether it's a business or a hobby, and there's a level of professionalism that differentiates the two. There's nothing wrong with it being a hobby. You just have to understand that that's where you are.
Yeah.
And also with that, give yourself grace.
Oh, yeah.
With learning all of these things. You have to be willing to suck at it in order to be willing to be good at it. What is the fourth thing that people need to know when they are starting in the speaking industry?
Understand the different types of stages and understand your intention.
Is this where we're going to get into TED?
Oh, yes, we can.
Can we talk about TED here?
That's actually a good segue.
Yeah.
Because that is one... Girl, hit me with the questions.
Oh, girl. Okay.
Yeah, no, because that is...
We are speaking with an official TED speaker right over here. She's been on the red dot. So the thing that interested me the most is when people ask me, and if I get a new lead from a Facebook ad or whatever, I get people all the time, well, I want to speak on the TED stage.
I saw that in you were doing your speak off.
Yeah.
And I came, people were like, do you want to speak? And I'm like, no, I was coming to support and see what you were doing. I'm like, no, this is great. And people were like, can you land me a TEDx stage? Do you talk about speaking on TEDx stages every single, and I go to webinars because I'm curious. I like seeing who the speaker coaches are. I like seeing what's going on in the industry.
I do too.
And I learn from a lot of different ones, but I'll say 3 probably in the last 4 or 5 months that I've gone to in the comments all the time. But do you have a TEDx program? Do you have a TEDx program?
And that has I haven't spoken on the TEDx stage. I haven't. And I'm questioning the allure of it because I have a friend who was on I don't want to misrepresent the title, but she was on some kind of organization committee.
Okay.
I don't know if she was a judge or not or what the role specifically was, but she had inside intel of being part of the event planning.
Yeah.
And when I heard you talk about, okay, let's pull back. I don't want to give TED a bad name.
No.
At all.
And there is a difference between TED and TEDx.
Yes, there is.
So when you're saying understanding stages, there's a difference between TED and TEDx. I'm a TEDx speaker, not a TED speaker.
But you've been on the red dot. I was careful
Yeah, no, I've been on the red dot, but it was a TEDx Woodinville.
Right, okay, so it's which is still not
different
easy
than the
to get
TED
on.
stage.
So TEDx is a preliminary to the TED stage. And I want I want you to zoom in your ears on this one because what do you feel like is the allure of the TED stage? Do we understand it correctly? Or in other words, is the allure justified? And what should people expect if they get on the stage? And that's a lot of questions, but
what they can expect is one that's going to be different for everyone. I will say the allure. I think what people generally think TEDx will do is it's a big stage, major stage, right? And they think it will give them that jump start, help them skip some steps in their business, especially speakers, coaches,
it seems
things
to be
like
people
that.
think once you press that red button, that means you're going to get a slew of phone calls the next day asking you to speak on their stage.
Oh, that it's going to launch your speak, like that all of a sudden you're going to be in demand as a speaker. People are going to be chasing you down, wanting you to speak, that your inbox and DMs are going to be full of clients and things like that. And that has happened. Again, it's like, talking about the ads and the thing is, yes, they have produced those results. They're not lying, but is that the norm? And what industry was it in? What background did they have? There's so many factors that come into play. But I will say that that's the allure. And I will say, and again, I can only go off of my experience. I can't speak for everyone. But I will say my personal perspective on it. And my talk was 2003. And it's already 2 years out. So...
What do you mean say 2 years out? What do you mean?
It's not outdated. But there's new speakers coming out every day. Like
it's
right
13
now.
years old.
Yeah. It's 2 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said
2023. Sorry, 2023. Oh, 2003 would have been
What math did I do wrong?
No, that would have been great.
Sorry, 13 years old would have been 23.
Math was not my strong suit.
Both of us did the math wrong.
But like Whitney said, the children are the future. Let me motivate you with my Walkman talk.
We have a calculator in our pockets. So Miss Wapensky, just want you to know, we do have a calculator in our pockets.
Right. No, but I think that would be the lure. And I think that is coming off of, the two that most people reference are Mel Robbins, Simon Sinek.
We love both of them.
And I love both of them. But if you look at the date on them, it was a different time.
A different era of TED,
it was,
you're saying.
like in the 2010s, right? Yeah. Like 2013, I want to say is one of them. I'll need to go check. I should have done my
Don't quote us on the numbers.
Yeah, don't quote us. I did not give my talk in 2003, right? I don't even have my own right, so don't judge. Or judge.
Or judge. We don't care.
Have fun. But TEDx in the early days was very different in the way that it got visibility, in the way that it got views. It is a big stage. It is a great search engine, but now there's been more time for more stages and more contracts and more things to come out. In fact, I just heard of one. Businesses can do a TEDx license and do like an in-house TEDx for their company, right? And that's a TEDx stage. And there's so many licenses now that it is a different speaking world than it was back then.
It kind of reminds me of CrossFit licenses. It was big when it was new and exclusive. And now it's relatively easy to get. So the novelty has kind of worn off in a way. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And there's a lot of competition now.
Right.
There's a lot of competition in it. And so there's so many things that do go on behind this. Like there's a lot that we can talk about. But that's kind of the expectation is I'm going to land that stage and all this visibility and I'm going to wake up and there's going to naturally be like 1 million views because I know my talk is that. And I will say in the speaker groups that I've been in where the host has given a TED talk, a lot of times they say, I don't do that in my program because, yes, I gave a TED talk and it was great, but it wasn't my favorite stage.
Yeah.
They actually prefer stages where they can sell from stage or stages where they can do different things. There are a lot
of rules.
There's a lot of, and again, you don't go into somebody's house and break the rules, but a lot of people don't know the rules and they're broken a lot. Like number one, just saying TEDx and TED. And for me, posting, I can say I'm a TEDx speaker. But when I reference the stage, it's TEDx Woodinville.
Yeah.
TEDx Woodinville 2003 or 2023. I still can't say it right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the stage I was on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there are TEDx speakers who say, oh, I'm a TED speaker. I'm like, oh, that's misrepresentation. Those are really different stages. And there's so many nuances. But what people don't know about the TEDx stage is it is not supposed to be a for-profit stage. You're not. I mean, the whole philosophy and vision of it and everything in the license of it, it is supposed to be for local talent. It's not a paid stage. Some people are like, oh, I want to land it and they'll fly me in. No, you pay your own travel to get there because You're not supposed to travel. Like, it's supposed to be local. And I actually do like the fact that TEDx Salt Lake runs by license. Like it runs in the vision of it. And on their application, you don't have to be from Salt Lake necessarily. You can't be from Utah, but if it adheres to the license, which is it's for local thought leaders, local voices that have an idea we're sharing for the community that it serves.
You know, I want to go back to this point because I think you've made something so abundantly clear, which I really didn't realize before. And understanding what TED and TEDx stages are, the hype around them, I want to be this, I want to be this. It seems like the allure of it is that people want to establish their credibility and they want TED to do that for them.
Yes.
In reality, what TED is meant to do is give you a platform as a speaker to share a worthwhile idea, and that is it.
Yeah, not for monetization, not to build your business.
Credibility. It's not TED does not have a mission statement to give people credibility.
Right.
TED has a mission statement, it seems, to say, here is a stage to share worthy ideas.
Yes. And it says you are not entitled to a video. You are not entitled to get on the platform. And there are TEDx speakers. I was watching Myron Golden's content, and there was one that said Myron Golden's TEDx talk or something, and I clicked on it, and it's him in his studio, and he said, I gave a TEDx talk. He had 10 million views because he has a following, right? Mm-hmm. He has an audience, or a million views or so. Anyway, he had a ton of views, and it was over 1 million. And the talk was taken down because there were some issues with the event planner and licensing. And he said, well, it had a video, it had views, and it was taken down. And TEDx owns that talk. Like, they own the talk as you wrote it for that stage. And, you're not supposed to give it again, but you can give alternate versions of it, sure. Right? I mean, Mel Robbins has talked on the same topic. Simon Sinek still talks about the why. It's not the topic, but that topic as written for that technically is owned by TEDx, and you're not guaranteed a video. And there's so many where the video, something happened to the camera or something, they forgot to record, something happened that way. TEDx sometimes doesn't send them to the platform for different reasons. Ours almost didn't go because there were some questions with the event planner and different things. And then the video got lost. Like there was our videos went to the platform, I think, a year after we gave the talks. Wow. And I just assumed they weren't going to go. So when they went, it was great.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to use it in demo reels. And some people do. You can only use a certain amount of time, a certain number of seconds on social media. I want to say 30 seconds. It's not even a full minute clip. Based on my contract, again,
But house rules.
But yeah, and so some people do. I have my TEDx photos. I can use a TEDx photo, on my webpage or whatever. That's not, self-promotion or trying to do it. But TEDx speakers who become TEDx coaches, I know 3 of them whose videos were taken off the platform because they were saying, oh, I'm a TEDx coach now. And once they started saying that, TEDx was like, you're trying to use the stage for monetization, and their talks were taken down.
And I just got to say this, if anyone is telling you that they can guarantee you a TEDx stage, first of all, it's against TEDx guidelines. Yep. And second of all, they can't guarantee it. So question that. Yeah. I'm telling you right now to question that.
I do know of, I don't even know who it is, but someone said that they were working with someone who says, we guarantee that you will land one or you get your money back. And so it's one where it's like they teach the process of applying for a TEDx stage. And if you don't land it,
with the money back refund,
do that.
Okay.
You can keep your word. But I will say that there are some who can only guarantee. Really, the only way to guarantee it is if you have your own license and it's against the license. So exactly. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm saying from my experience, when I do see that, I'm like, the math ain't mathin'.
Well, and it's just back to integrity. Can you give, I think about, my daughter is 10 and I love her to pieces. And she's watching us parent our 3-year-old. And so she's emulating those parenting techniques or doing her best to. Mm-hmm. And when we are parenting our 3-year-old, we have to say no to something. We try and give an alternate, right? So my daughter sees us do that, but the alternate she provides, she can't fulfill on. So if she wants the baby to give up okay, so she has this poppet board. She wants the baby to give up the poppet board and give it back to her. She's like, well, do you want some ice cream instead? And I'm like, baby girl, can you deliver on that ice cream?
Yeah.
She's like, well, no. And I was like, then don't promise it. Yeah. I wish every business owner kept that just one rule. Don't promise things you can't deliver on. You can't do that. Don't make threats you can't enforce either. Like it's an integrity play.
Yeah.
So the same goes with TEDx. If you see a coach promising a TEDx, now I can promise to get you booked or give you your money back because I'm capable of giving your money back.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's a different beast. That's a different beast. And there are like different ways of presenting things, and it's really about understanding the stage. It's not a keynote.
Okay, what would you say to someone that wants to get on TED?
On TED, I don't know. I haven't landed a TED
TEDx,
stage.
Pardon me.
I did apply for one, but
if they want to stay on the red dot, what would you tell them?
One, research the stage. Look at what the community is. It's supposed to be for the community. Look at what the community is. See if it's aligned. Look at the theme. Every year there's a different theme.
I didn't apply this year because of the theme.
I didn't. They're getting ready for the next one. I saw they're looking for the local.
The venue or
no? They're looking for local volunteers. And that's the thing. No one's paid.
Yeah,
no one's supposed to be paid.
Yeah.
It's volunteers. So Salt Lake was looking for volunteers. Now, if you're applying this year, don't volunteer. And I was like, oh, do I want to volunteer?
Yeah.
Do I want to? Because I have another idea that is really relevant for our community and this day and age that we're in the digital age. But anyway,
another power bra?
Huh?
Is it the power bra?
No, but I actually did get a new power bra for today, by the way. That's my talk. But no, it's different. It's
Does it help you to know that I think of you every time I put on my bra and I question whether or not I'm wearing a power bra?
I love it.
I'm like, what can I prove?
Does it feel like a power bra?
I feel powerful.
Then it's a power bra.
Yay.
So I approve. Question answered. But yeah, no, it's understanding the theme, and sometimes it's going to, sometimes it's about the environment and eco, because TED technology. Sometimes it's about technology. AI is big right now,
really big,
and that's not my expertise. I have to give a shout out to him. He's actually a 2-time TEDx speaker. One of my favorite AI speakers. Spoke in 2023 when I was still like, okay, this is kind of new. What's going, new technology a few years ago, but talked about social responsibility.
Ooh,
with
that's
AI.
A necessary topic. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm still, it was one of my favorant talks at that stage. And there were 20 of them. We had 20 of us on our TEDx stage. That's our event planner wanted short talks. She wanted less than 9 minutes.
9 minutes?
So that...
You got to be potent.
Yeah. Mine was 5.
Wow.
Mine was 5. Yeah.
You overachieved.
I wanted to get down in the 4s. That was her thing. She's like, I'd love someone to hit 4.5. And I was like, ooh.
The best talks are under 2 minutes?
Yeah.
What's the most popular talk you can ever think of? The most popular speech you can ever think of.
That's under 2 minutes?
No, just any popular speech. The most well-known popular speech you can think of.
There's some Simon Sinek's Why.
Gettysburg Address.
Oh.
Under 2 minutes.
Yes.
The I Have a Dream speech. Under 2 minutes. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. And but intentional.
Right?
And powerful. And there is a craft. There is a craft. Anyway, but yeah, but understand, so many people want to give their whole book or their whole framework because in their head, it's like, oh, it's my opportunity to pitch my business. It's not about your business. It's not about your story. It's about one idea. So it's not even a chapter of the book. It's not even a section of the chapter of a book. It's one sentence in that book. If there was one sentence in your book, and it's but then I don't get to talk about my whole framework because it's not about your framework. It's not about your business.
Point. If you could leave us with one phrase.
High five.
Yeah.
That was one thing. High five. That's what Mel Robbins left us with. High five. Simon Sinek, know your why.
Well, Mel Robbins could even say, let them.
Words, right?
Let them. If she did it again, I'm betting that or the 5-second rule.
But it's one idea that shifts the way that you look at something.
Yeah.
Right? AI, and this, I want to say in the early days, isn't that so weird? It was only 2 years ago and it's already
so fast.
It's already oh yeah, that was old. But, and he is an AI expert. You can find him on, anyway, I'm not trying to fill your inbox on LinkedIn there. But anyway, although I don't think he'd mind. But just the social responsibility that we have. And I don't want to kill his big idea. Go watch the video, but it was ask it.
Can you send me the video?
I'll send you the link. Put it in the notes. Because honestly, it just blew my mind. Because he was talking about when you do searches, ask it where it got its information. And at the time, I mean, now people know to do that, or or use Perplexity.
Not necessarily.
But it was one idea.
Yeah.
Ask it.
Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT to be responsible. Where did you get your information from? I'm like, ask it a question.
No, here's what's interesting.
Now we know a little bit better.
We know what Google SEO is, right? Mm-hmm. Search engine optimization. Did you know there's AI engine optimization? So you have to understand.
It's a different crawler.
It is a different crawler, but here's what's important to know when you leverage. I know we're getting a little bit of rabbit hole, but this is important for you to understand. That my husband runs a marketing agency. Okay. That guy has ethics. He has morals. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I know. He said if I didn't have morals, we'd be billionaires by now. So just right. So
because you can, and when you're in it.
But here's what I want everyone to know is that the AI source material can be bought. You can buy your space into being the AI answer. And while that sounds great for us as integrous business owners,
they do start doing ads.
They're starting.
They're now.
Yeah, that's now available. You can do ads in ChatGPT, and you can pay to be the source document for an AI answer in Google AI responses and ChatGPT. So that's great for us as integrous business owners, but as utilizers, even if we have to be aware, we have to do our own due diligence and be aware. Yeah. So I just want to put that out there.
Side notes, but so know the topic, know the stage, and understand that it's one idea. It's not about you. It's not about your credentials. I mean, you do have to have some kind of background in what you're talking about, so that's usually on the application, but it's about the idea and how it can serve the community.
I have to respect TED so much for sticking to that because they could have succumbed to the popularity and done sponsored stages and it is all that
it is hard to enforce everything and to monitor everything when there's so many licenses. But I will say now there are so many TEDx stages. So the question that you asked, is that expectation reasonable? What TEDx used to mean, I think, and it still is an incredible stage. I'm very grateful for the experience.
I have more respect for the stage now.
Loved it. I love the people that I met. To be in a room with thought leaders like that. I mean, that was my favorite part. Was just the people that I met who my TEDx Woodinville family that I love dearly and still keep in touch with. A lot of I'm actually just sitting here. I'm going to be messaging some people. Hey, just by the way, I talked about you behind your back on a podcast.
It's all good things. All good things.
Just so you know, you're going to be tagged. Go find it. But it's like anything where it just kind of gets watered down. So in what we're talking about here, how does it translate into speaking career and things like that? I will say a lot of event planners say, what do you have besides a book and a TEDx? Now, in corporate, it does help to have a book as something that you use in combination with what you do. It's part of what you can do with contract negotiation, right? If you come in and bring me in, I'll give this many books. I want to pause right there.
I want to highlight what you just said, and forgive me for interrupting, but I want to.
It's your podcast.
If I have a highlighter and could go back and highlight the transcripts, I want to, because if someone says, "What do you have besides a book and TEDx?" and you don't have either one of those, maybe that's an indicator that you should write some stuff down. And if you don't want a TEDx stage or don't have a TEDx stage, get an equivalent. Because if I were to go in and they're like, oh, what about your book? I'm like, well, I have a couple of books. Okay, I haven't been on the TEDx stage, but I put on this event and this event and this event and this event.
That actually would do more than the TEDx is the point.
Would it really?
Yeah. Well, because there's so many people who are like, oh, I'm a TEDx speaker. And then part of the reason that when we talk about the trust recession and the character recession that we kicked off with, there's a thing called vanity metrics. And a lot of programs out there that are, be a part of this, best-selling book, right? I'm doing a collaboration, be part of this best-selling book.
I did that once.
Well, the way that you get to be a best-selling book is, you pick some random time that nobody's on Amazon. You get all 20 people, it's why collabs work, or 15 people or whatever, to blast it to their audience to say, hey, it's going to be released this day, buy my book on this day.
For 1 penny.
And whoever does the book watches it. And so for an hour window, you're a bestseller in usually like a really random category, you know, like personal development books on farming or something, you know, and it's like, but you can take a screenshot of it and that's...
I have mine.
Well, I'm a best-selling author, but I don't put it on my page because I was like, I'll do
my
one. See what this
ISBN
is
was
like.
a best-selling author. I contributed a chapter to a book that was a best-selling book.
I contributed a chapter also, but I did my master's degree in creative writing. I was in a writers group with like, Dean Hughes was my one of my thesis committee members, like with legit published authors. I've been to writing conferences with editors from publishing houses. Like, this is what I did. And in the academic world, people can see through vanity publishing easily. And the person was like, well, why aren't you posting this on your social media? I'm like, that actually would hurt my brand. Yeah, that actually would hurt you. That would hurt my credibility. Yeah. But I'm still glad I did it. And I'm not embarrassed by what I wrote. I actually have the chapter of the book. I do it as a freebie sometimes if it's related to what I'm doing. So it is great. Like I've got a great asset, something that I can use, but it's a vanity metric. And event planners have picked up on this. And so it's like, okay, great. You're a best-selling author. Who's your publishing house? And if it's a self-publishing, and not that self-publishing is bad. Russell Brunson self-publishes his books.
I think Alex does too.
Yeah, I think so. But there's a different. Yeah. It's a different part of their business model.
Yes, it's for a different purpose.
But I'm a best-selling author. Look, my book was on Times Square. You buy a blip. I can buy a blip on Times Square. And it's cheaper at different times. That's why most of the pictures are done during the day, because at night it's more expensive for the blips. But that's a vanity metric. I was as seen in, I've been seen in ABC, NBC, all these different things. Like, and I used to have those on my website because in the early days I was in a program that said like, oh, well, yeah. And now you can see that I was seen in. But then event planners started asking, oh, well, where's your article? I couldn't find your article. Well, it was a press release. Right. It was either a press release for a speaking gig that I did or whatever. And I immediately took all those down. But again, it's not, I wouldn't be lying to say that I was seen in those things, but it's not how I want to be seen.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so it's that kind of a thing. And so with TEDx, because there's so many that can be done, and they're like, oh, well, I have this many views. You can pay for views, and a lot of TEDx speaker programs say, oh, we'll guarantee you this many views. So even saying, oh, I've got 50,000 and most tap out around 700. I think mine's around 700, maybe 1,000 at this point. But like most people aren't researching Power Bra.
Shockingly,
but anyone who's watching this, you're going to go research a Power Bra. We're both wearing ours. Go get yours. And I've actually been on podcasts, and when the men have seen it, it's really fun. I don't know what it is.
Do they get
on
squirmy?
My stage, Angelo Lumpkin. I'm not name dropping, but these are the people from my stage. But Angelo, I love him dearly, but he got up to give his talk, and it's not shown, right? It edited out because it starts when he starts his talk, but he got up on the stage and he said, I've got to start by giving a shout out to Kim Parry, and I've got to let her know I'm wearing my power boxers today. And I was on a podcast where we were talking about the Power Bra, and he was like, he was British, and he said, I need to go buy a pair of power pants. Like, so, if you watch it, you need to go get a power. I'm like, more power to you, because the principle applies. And so I'm like, yeah, whatever your power piece is, and that's do what you got to do. But the point, I think mine's under 1,000, but I wasn't worried about views. I wasn't doing it for views. I will say what TEDx gave me before I had a demo reel. And a lot of footage is, it does show I can hold my own on a stage. And if people want to see me speak, you can see how I deliver and you can see how I present. So before I had a demo reel, it was great, but it's a pretty expensive asset if you're traveling outside of your local area to do it. And it's an asset that you do not own.
And that's a big thing.
And that is and it can be taken down at any time.
You don't own the asset.
You don't own it. You don't control it.
The platform that the asset is on.
You don't own your talk.
No, it's gone.
Again,
it was like a donation.
Yeah, but it's like, I can talk about Power Bras elsewhere, right? But it's just that exact, verbatim,
which isn't a problem for speakers anyway. But maybe
professional speakers,
I suppose,
right? Because you can adjust it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing is I loved the stage. I love doing it. I actually do have an idea that I'm really passionate about that I feel is worth sharing. So I'm going to apply to other stages, but not as a vanity metric. It really is just because I feel it's right for that stage. And I feel it's right now. And if the event planners feel that too.
Do you know the theme for the upcoming one?
I don't for this one. And that's where I'm going to wait and see. But there's actually a couple where I'm like, ooh, there are themes that I'm like, ooh, I might apply.
I'd be interested in those.
But because I have one, I could put it on my tombstone. She was a TEDx speaker, right?
Yeah.
Like you, even if the video is taken down, you can let people, once you're on the dot, you can't say that you're a TEDx speaker until you've hit the dot. If you get sick, if you miss the stage, if it gets, you get canceled because, you don't align with the event planner, whatever. It's like, until you get that dot, you don't get it. But now no one can take it away. I mean, I can put that on my speaker resumes. I can put that anywhere. But what does it mean to an event planner? That's what you need to know. And so, it shows that you can speak. It shows that it's a stage, but especially because mine was 2 years ago, it's, well, what are you doing now?
Yes.
What podcast have you been on? Are you still, doing things?
Doing the work?
So where are your testimonials? Where, do you have updated evidence that you're speaking or that you're doing things, that you're still viable, that your message matters?
I ask a lot of people when they say, Marianne, can you help me get on a TED stage? And I said, well, I haven't done it, so I can't teach you. Mm-hmm. But I do ask them, what would you do the day after? Mm-hmm. Let's just say you got on a TED stage on Saturday. What are you doing Sunday?
Yeah.
Well, maybe resting with your family. Okay, what are you doing Monday, right?
Yeah.
What do you do after you have that title? And well, I probably would apply to be on podcasts, and I'd probably apply to be on more events and all of that.
So start doing that today.
That's what I say. I'm just do that now.
And the truth is a TEDx stage. I think I know a couple of people, like maybe one or two, where it actually did help with whatever their end goal was, but they knew the end goal beyond TEDx, not using TEDx manipulatively, but they knew what it was and they knew how to leverage it after. They didn't use it on their website or book me for this, but there were ways to send it to event planners beforehand. But for mine, I'm not going into corporate telling leaders to buy a power bra. This will increase your employee productivity if you're well supported. You know what I mean? It's just, and my whole point, I do think my TEDx gave a little bit of my backstory, which is good. And it shows the fusion of what I do, which is fashion styling plus personal development. Right, which is kind of a unique pairing and a unique fusion, but there wasn't anything about leadership in it. There wasn't anything, it is a good idea we're sharing, and it's really good for women, who are struggling with their confidence, who are rebuilding their lives. It's one that I actually send,
probably to your people.
Well,
your clientele.
When I see, in fact, I was in, I'm in divorce groups, not for marketing purposes, but I'm still in the ones I was in
because you have XP.
When I was starting. Yeah, I've got major XP on that. But a woman was just saying, I'm rebuilding my life. I don't know what to do. I don't have any money to pay you. Please don't DM me trying to sell me. And it's why I am actually a certified divorce recovery coach. And I stopped working in that field because when people are going through divorce, they either need lawyers or therapists more than they need me. Mm-hmm. And there are people who can afford both. But in the divorce recovery aspect, it wasn't just limited to divorce recovery, right? It's women and empowerment and leadership and everything. So it expanded into what I do. But my TEDx talk isn't what I speak on with corporate and leadership and culture and burnout.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a little bit of my story, which is that I burn out.
Right. Exactly.
But the people who did leverage it, they already knew their end game. Mm-hmm. And their idea we're sharing was community based. They gave a version of that, but a version that could leverage into it. And they were people who already had experience in corporate. And so that was part of their story.
And it sounds like TED and TEDx shouldn't be the end game.
It's not.
They need to be the milestone, right?
And for me, it's a bucket list.
Yeah. Okay. A bucket list.
And I think for speakers, for speakers who are professional speakers, it's one where it's that could be a fun stage, but they don't need the stage.
Yeah.
That's the thing is where it's okay, like I'll apply for TEDx. Like I think I could do that.
That's what kind of I'm thinking is like,
but you're like, there's no monetization. There's no like future booking from it. It's just like, it's a cool stage and I want to experience it. And I will say it's the hardest talk I've ever given.
Which back to the point of TED, honors the house, honors house rules. That should be the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where like, you know, and I'm not trying to pitch my talk here, but like, it's one I'm obviously passionate about.
As you should be.
And it is about the value for the community. And it's the value of change, which I have in my paid talks also, but it really is just something where it's something I'm passionate about with people and with community, and a way that we can change the way that we look at things and change the way that maybe we show up to make things, you know, safer and more connected in our communities. And so that's where it's like TEDx is the stage for that.
Absolutely. And I think that lends a lot of legitimacy to the stage, as long as you know what it is and what it isn't.
And yes, it's an asset. It's not a guaranteed asset, and it's not an asset you own. So going back to podcasts and going back to creating your own stages, when you create your own stage, you own your video. You know, getting pictures, getting photos, getting things like that. You can get more assets. If you do local and you're not traveling for it, which is what TEDx is supposed to be, right? You know, in theory, you know, then you get some pictures and hopefully a video on the platform, right? But I've been in paid to speak, and there are people who are like, well, I am a TEDx speaker. I've got over, one person was like, I have over 1 million views, and it doesn't get me booked. And the person was like, well, because like, how are you pitching yourself? What's your keynote? What is it that you're giving? What is it that you're selling? And it's like, oh, well, I've got this inspirational story. And it's like, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. And so it's like, you've got 1 million views. Maybe they were paid for. I don't know. But it's like, you've got 1 million views for this really powerful story, but it doesn't translate into the business of speaking.
Right.
It's a great hobby, and it's a great stage to land. And I love the whole point of TEDx originally was like to find people in the wild, you know, like to find that person who will never be a corporate speaker. In fact, being a professional speaker can almost be a hindrance, right? Because it's like, oh, are you trying to monetize this? Do you have ulterior motives? It's almost like you have to vet. And because I'm a multiple TEDx, it's like, oh, well, are you trying to do this because of ego or whatever? I'm like, just my other one's a power bra.
Had a really cool idea.
Like my other one's a power bra, which is great. Like I like empowering women, but like this one's different. Yeah. And I'm also passionate about that.
Yeah.
But it's almost a hindrance. You know, like sometimes, because it's like,
because they don't want
it's not meant to be a professional talk, and we're not paying you, you know, don't come up and say, well, here's my speaker fee, because guess what? We're not paying it. We can't, or we'll lose our license. Thank you very much. You know?
So what would you tell the person that the thing that seems to be so elusive is how to get booked on stages? How do people do that when they are just starting out? How do people get seen? How do people get their talk to where it's a $10,000 talk that does eventually get the $10,000?
Well, the $10,000 talk and the landing a TEDx stage are two different conversations, right? The landing a $10,000 talk is having a $10,000 product, which goes back to the craft.
Okay,
and so it's reps. You get your reps in. And in the early days, you're doing free stages. And it does kind of bug me sometimes when there are the speaker coaches who say, well, once you have like 1 or 2 videos, or once you have 1 or 2 testimonials, don't ever do a paid or a free stage again. And I'm like, there's professional speakers, like you were talking about Tony Robbins, like there are professional speakers who do free stages, you know? So I don't know that I agree with that, but it's the reps. Because every rep you do, it changes the way you tell a story. Or maybe you'll find something that really lands in the way that you tell a story, or something that really is off-putting. And that's all product development. I mean, if we have more time, it's like it's like developing a product for a business. You start with ideation, you start with market research, and then you go and develop it, and then you package it, and then you do all those things. There's like a whole process. And so how do you do that? You land podcasts. You create your own stages. You do free stages. You host stages. It's like
host the webinars.
You
host
get your
calls,
reps in. You go to the gym. You do it in the shower. You do it while you're walking. You do it, you know, like for your dogs.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Get a captive audience, right? But that's how you develop, and nurturing relationships. You go to events, you meet people, not for the intent of getting something from them, but just networking.
Come with your hands full. I like
just networking, meeting people. I love watching people. Carrie just did an event the other night with Jeff. Yeah, Jeff was speaking. Jeff was a speaker. I was a session director for EFY, and he was a speaker on that session. I want to say 2012.
Oh, awesome.
Maybe 2013. So I've known him for a while, but I was going to go to that. You go to events. You support, if you're going to create events and complain, people aren't coming to my event. Well, how many have you gone to?
Preach, girl.
How many have you gone to?
This is so
and
true.
And supported and shared and and I practice what I preach on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when there's nothing in it for me, just because if it's an event that I know is going to be a good event, I post it. And there's some people who are like, oh, can you talk about my event? But I know it's not going to be a good event. I don't post it. I'm not going to
sacrifice my integrity for that.
No, because that's my brand.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? But so that's the 10,000. Right? But how do you land a TEDx? It is not about you.
Rewind that 15 seconds.
It is not about you.
I hear like Elastigirl saying that.
And I will say, okay, which is funny because I have EDS, so I have really stretchy skin and I'm really flexible. And my geneticist, I have a geneticist in Indiana, Claire Francomano, who, if you have EDS, she is like Bono. She is the Bono of the EDS community. By a miracle. She's one of the reasons I'm not in a wheelchair, but by a miracle I got her. But she looks a little bit like Edna Mode.
Yeah.
From The Incredibles. She's got the glasses and the hair. And when I came home, my kids were like, she kind of looks like Edna Mode. And I'm like, she keeps my Elastigirl suit.
Yeah.
She keeps my stretchy suit, right? So anyway.
That's perfect.
So I'm like, that's funny that you used that. But I will say the same thing applies for business also. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm. It's
about your deliverable. But for the TEDx stage especially, it's not about how smart you, so some people in their applications will highlight all of their experience and background. And this is not an academic conference. But you do need to have background and cred. But the entire point is, what is your idea we're sharing, and can you get to the point? Because these are short talks. And if you can't get to the point in an application, you're not going to do it on the stage. I didn't mean to whisper that, but you're not going to do it on the stage. And so it's all about, what is the one idea we're sharing? Why does it matter to this community? Why does it matter now? And then a little bit, why am I the person to give this talk versus someone else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's applying? Right. And I will say, here is one tip that my event planner said, and Tanya, I love you. I'll tag you too. But she said, if I hear the word authentic one more time, I'm going to vomit.
Barf.
Yeah.
I just
finding your true purpose, connecting with your authenticity. And what's funny is I did have the word authentic in my talk at the time. Like, Tanya, do I need to scratch that? And she was like, oh no, I didn't even notice it in yours, but I think I did adjust it. I don't think I used the word authentic. If I did, it was like once, but there was like no other word to use in context. But it's like finding your authenticity, finding your true purpose. It's like, and that is story based, right? Man. Like, you have a way that you found your authenticity and you found your purpose. But what is the idea? What is the applicable idea? And I know, you guys, I've made that mistake. I was an authentic life coach, helping people find their authenticity and purpose with clarity. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't bad. It was true. But there's a reason why. And getting in the speaker groups, actually, and the paid speaking groups was so eye-opening to me, because it's like, oh, what's your topic? And I saw finding your life purpose, finding your thing. And right, it's just like over and over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Like this. And then I'm like, oh, what is it that I'm even doing? Like, what am I doing? What am I teaching? Like, what am I about? You know, I was like, wait a second. And then I'm like, oh no, this is what I want to give. And this is the ROI. And this is what I can deliver. And that's when things started changing for me. But I would see it. Like, just go to a free seminar. Go to any of the, click one. Because I'm telling you, in all of them, it's the same thing. What is your topic? What do you speak on? Life purpose, finding confidence, finding clarity, blah, blah, blah. And so pretend you're an event planner.
Do you
That's
know
what
how
they see all day long.
To pitch people to podcasts when all they can tell me is that I speak on authenticity. I'm like, so does everybody else.
Yeah.
No,
you're like, and that's like part of the sales conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is your topic? probably need to work on that. If you have a product or like, I know you can, but you're like, we can help you develop that, but this is not going to be it. But then people are like, well, I've got to differentiate myself because everybody's saying the same thing. And so then it's like, I'm going to tap into my cosmic divine femininity and seduce the cosmic world with my increased power. And I'm not, you guys, like, I've been trained everything from like religion to the woo. You know this. I've done philosophy. I've done academia, right? Like, so I do the gamut, and I don't knock it because I am a truth seeker.
Well,
it's but like listen, water. It's like manna, right?
We know
like,
potpourri.
Yeah.
It smells great, but nobody really knows what it is.
Right. And so that's where it's like just changing the words to make it more
concrete.
Well,
real. Paint a picture.
All it does is when we try to differentiate it with that, it's like, oh, well, I need to sound different. I need to sound cool. All you do is muddy it up because nobody has any clue what you're doing. And it's why there's like so many jokes about life coaches in movies, right? Because they're like, like I'm doing my life purpose. And yeah, we can do it well.
Wait, the sound effect.
Right. It's part of the craft. You got to bring people into the story. Paint a picture. Paint a lovely picture.
I'm into the woo-woo too, but next time I do a dong.
I speak everything from Isaiah to Eckhart Tolle, so I'm not knocking it, right? There is truth, and it's part of my walk. But I do hear how we talk about it. Well, because I've done it.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. And I had no clue how to market or how to sell. And you know, it's still a work in progress. Myron Golden, again, I heard him say, the hardest people to teach how to do business are academics, right? Because we're all in our head. And we either go to ego, we go to our credentials, right? Well, I've got a PhD in this and I published this many papers, blah, 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 blah. That's not TEDx. That's not TEDx. Okay, well, Power Bra, what's your experience in this? Now I lost my health, my marriage, my career all in the same year, and a bra helped me find myself.
See, guess what? Now we're leaning in.
And a lot of people submit multiple applications. For my TEDx stage, I submitted 3 different talks. My first 2 were life purpose. Finding my life purpose. I don't think I said life purpose, but it was something like that, right? Like how almost losing my life helped me, blah, blah. But then it was, what's my experience? It had nothing to do with, my degrees or my professional experience. It was, this is my life experience. This is what I learned. I'd love to share it on your stage. And then it was, submit a video because then they want to see if you can present, right? And did my thing in a minute. But if you get on for your minute and you just repeat like, well, my name is Kimberly Parry and I taught religion for 16 years. And then in a strange twist of events, even still, because that's a talent, right? Like I'm still using voice inflection. Yeah, sure. I'm still telling a story.
But the coordinator is saying, why should I give you my stage? What's in it for the audience?
But there is a difference between saying so many women today are burned out, stressed out because they don't know who they are.
Because now you're talking about me.
And that was me.
Yes.
So this is my video, right? Like, and that was me laying on the floor in my closet, sobbing the night I found out my divorce was finalized. And I had to take care of 3 kids and had no clue how I was going to do that because I just lost my job. And a bra helped me find my way back. That's the idea I want to share on your stage. 1-minute video. So I submitted 3 applications, which is pretty rare. And it's not like pat on the back, but it's like, again, my talk's a power bra, guys. Like it's not translating to corporate unless there's like, if there's some CEOs, some female CEOs who need a power bra.
You could totally speak at Spanx.
I would love that.
That would be your
actually.
people.
But I do what I do. I could bring in power bra, but actually women's groups and women owned companies and female entrepreneurs.
Like, and her name is slipping my mind, so forgive me, but that would be.
But doing leadership retreats and things like that. But with men, I can do the same thing, but I talk about the Darcy effect because men and women.
Mr. Darcy?
Oh, girl, I was an English major. Hello. I got my master's degree in English. Yes. But I talk about the Darcy effect because what they knew and what men have known throughout the ages, people say women care more about fashion than men. Men care just as much. They just care differently. And in fact, sometimes they care more. one of my biggest sellers with men is when they're like, oh, do you style men? And I say, yeah, I have been trained in menswear because I had so many men saying, oh, do you do that for men? Men don't want to learn about style. They want a personal shopper. And that's not what I do. I'm like, go get an assistant. They can do that. But I talk about the Darcy effect because style was absolutely a power play. And I teach them how to do that intentionally. But anyway, like a whole digression. But
now I want to hear that. To talk to like, bring your ascots, gentlemen. Like,
there are, 89 ways to tie a tie, and most men only use 2. There's a book on it, and I talk about that. And I got the title wrong. I know I got the title wrong, and I'm going to hit myself. Like, as soon as I get in my car, I'm like, oh no, but it's in the 80s. But there's like 80 some odd different ways to tie a tie, and most men use 2.
Oh man, my favorite is the Eldridge knot. It's my maiden name.
Yeah,
it's the fold over. And it's so pretty.
But the whole, like the cravat and what it meant, and the Wyndham fall. Anyway, like, yes. So if you need a leadership talk on the Darcy effect, you know where to find it, but that's not my TEDx.
You know what I want to talk about sometime, and this isn't for this show. There's a book that I got on it's not the etymology of flowers, but it's a language of flowers, and how you can insult someone with a bouquet because of what the flowers mean.
People don't know calla lilies. You guys, like,
okay,
carnations.
Tell me what calla lilies are, because they're
Death.
beautiful. That's right.
It's a death flower.
It's my favorite flower. It's so pretty and elegant.
It is pretty.
Just with the one
it is
swoop,
pretty, right? And it is, but it's like, oh, here's a romantic gesture. I'm like, that relationship's going to be dead in the water. Not the calla lily. But most people don't know, right? And it's just like,
what was
they
the
are
carnation?
Pretty. Carnations are just so cliche. This like,
but it
means something. It means something. I can't remember.
Okay, we're gonna get on a total sidetrack. We're not careful.
Well, but this is the point, though, right? It's doing things with intentionality. And so you asked the fourth thing. You go to a stage with intention. Excuse me, caffeine. Every pitch has an intention. And when I dress people when I talk about styling for stages, and it's one of the things I do differently. It's actually a trend right now that I'm noticing is a lot of speaker coaches are hooking up with stylists. And I'm like, oh, I would love to do that because as a speaker who's also a stylist, I have a different way to do it. But every talk has a different color. Every talk has a different fabric. Every audience, every stage has its own power and its own presence. And when you style your message, it amplifies what you can do. Right. And that's what I do, like with leadership, with what I do in corporate, with what I do everywhere. That's really what I do. It's bringing the power of style, not just fashion. That's one piece. Yeah. But bringing your communication style, which is authenticity.
Shocker.
Bringing your authentic truth to what you do brings power to it, right?
Carol would be so proud.
But it's talking about bringing your style to what you do, which takes the skill set and amplifies it. And you can amplify every message. You can amplify every stage. And when you look and feel like $1 million, sorry, like you can tell I told you we might go to church today, but when you look and feel like $1 million and you hit that stage, number one, you don't care at all about how you look.
You're not thinking about it.
You don't care at all about what the audience thinks.
Yeah.
You care about what you give and how you connect and how you show up. And I mean, you just own the stage in a different way. And that's what style can do.
Oh, man.
For a stage.
It just brings me back to those moments, those moments when you're on stage and you're just in the flow and you're just giving and it's being received and you're locked in, you're being inspired and you're delivering the words that you've been given, not the words you've prepared. And it's just, those moments are so magical. And you're right. It embodies everything you bring to the table with intentionality. I remember I was in a photography class in college, and the assignment, I don't even remember what the assignment was, but it was a fairy tale. The topic was fairy tale. We had to photograph a fairy tale. And someone had this brilliant idea of reversing the roles in a fairy tale. The good guys are actually the bad guys and the bad guys are actually the good guys. So we made this photograph. We don't take photographs, by the way. We make them.
I love it.
She says with a sneer.
It's a craft.
It is a craft.
It's the difference between a hobby and a craft.
Yes.
Right? And what you're talking about is the craft.
Exactly. So he puts Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay.
And in his storytelling in this image, Little Red Riding Hood's actually the bad guy.
Oh, I love it.
Right. So he gets this college age girl. She's in not a cute little Red Riding Hood. She's in the red dress, if you know what I mean. And she's got a steak knife under her arm. And it's telling this story of Red is actually the bad guy. Right?
Oh gosh. I'm like, this can go so many, my head is already like, and then I'm like, oh, is she a gaslighter?
Right. We don't even know.
I don't know.
But in the back of the picture, there's a stairwell of Helaman Halls.
Sorry.
That's what our reaction was. You know where that is.
Well, no, but I taught for 16 years at BYU.
You know
and I'm like,
exactly what I'm talking about.
This makes it even more awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry
we
if I
sit
yelled
there.
that too loud.
We're sitting there, and this story that has us all leaning forward and saying, what's going on, now has a stairwell in the back of it. And the teacher, I'll never forget this moment. He said, why are there the stairs there? There's a lot of theirs. He said it better than that. He said, why are there stairs in this image? And the artist who put together the picture said, oh, that's just where we took the picture. And this is what he said. The stairs need to be there on purpose or not at all. Yeah. Because it's part of the narrative. It's part of the story. It's part of the craft with intentionality. Why is that there? There's a reason this camera is cropped in and you can't see the felt stapled to that wall over there. It's not important for the narrative. Like, Kim walked through an unfinished hallway to get into this room, and there's plaster and paint everywhere, and you can't see it, and that's on purpose because it doesn't support the podcast for you. I'm not embarrassed to talk about it, but it doesn't support what we're doing. The focus is Kim, and I want her
See,
to...
and I'm just here, I'm like, no, it's not, it's you.
No. I don't
But it's because we both get it, though, right? Like, we're here...
But is it on purpose?
And the point is you. The point is
the listener, right?
Yeah.
And to create a relationship there. And is it done with intentionality? And I think when you talk about style and when you talk about speaking, if we check ourselves with the socks that we put on, with the underwear that we put on, with how we do our hair and earrings, I don't want you to get pressured.
Yeah, it's not overthinking.
It's not overthinking.
Just intentionality.
Do I like the message this is sending? Do I approve of the message? And if the message is, you know what? I care more about you than the jeans that I'm wearing today, then that's the message, right?
Yeah.
But is it on purpose?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Well, and that's where, I've got one little tweak for my last conversation, right? More than what's the message I'm sending, because that still puts it on what do other people think of me?
Yeah.
It's how do I want to show up?
Tell me the difference. Delineate those for me.
One is what's the message I'm sending? It's on how are they receiving it? How are they perceiving it? How are they doing it?
Yeah.
Versus how do I want to show up? For me today, my intention for coming here, like I don't have a back end business. I'm not a speaker coach. I really have nothing ulterior in this. It's just, this is something I am passionate about. It's my craft. It's something that I love. Wasn't going to share this. Is everyone okay if I get emotional and share a story?
Please don't ever ask permission. You own this.
Because I was in a speaker group with Jen Gottlieb. You were there.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, Marianne.
I was like,
right? Because we both do things. And there were different like speaker practice things. And my dad had gone on vacation. My parents had gone on vacation. And right after one speaker practice session, my dad had a heart attack and was unconscious and in the hospital.
Oh, how scary.
And for the second one, so they're in Missouri. I'm in Utah, so nothing I can do about it. And I'm a person who shows up.
Yeah.
And I committed to this practice thing and showed up, and I was in the practice room. And 2 minutes before I went into the room, my brother texted, who was out there, and said they're getting ready to take Dad off of life support. So 2 minutes before I get that, I go in the room. And I'm like, I'm not, they're like, wait till your wounds are healed to speak, right? So, because you don't speak, but everyone's doing their practice. And I was just planning on being in the room, but I committed to be there. And part of, practice is having a room to practice too. Mm-hmm. And so I was just planning on doing that. At the end, there was some open time and they gave me time to practice. And I just said, this isn't my keynote, but I said right before coming in this room, I found out that my dad was being taken off life support. We're waiting. And as the session had been going, my brother's like, okay, the oxygen's dropping. I mean, like I'm getting play-by-plays in this. And he was amazing. I mean, I felt like I was in the room with my dad, and I got the opportunity to practice. And I said, this isn't my keynote. But I said, some people share themselves through music. Some people share themselves through story. Speaking is how I share. And they held space for me to practice a talk, but to give tribute to my dad. And 5 minutes after it ended, my dad was gone.
Oh.
And so, in talking about the difference between a hobby and a craft, it was a hobby at one point. It was a talent that I had, but it is my craft. Thank you. I wasn't planning on getting emotional about this, but it was the best way that I could have experienced that moment. And they held sacred space for me in that. But, the art form, the way that we bring ourselves to the world, the way that we share ourselves creatively. Some people share themselves creatively in chemistry. Some people share themselves creatively in coding through math formulas and equations. It's not all visual, creative, artistic form, but when we bring ourselves fully to a moment, and in that moment, it was just to honor my dad, and that they held space for that. And it was a sacred speaking moment. That's the difference between what am I delivering? What message am I sending? And how am I showing up?
And I want to thank you for sharing that. And the way that you did that, I'm sure every daughter in that room was thinking about their dad. And I'm sure every father in that room was thinking about their kids. And I'm sure every wife in that room was thinking about their husband. And I'm sure every man in that room was thinking about, what would my daughters or my kids or my wife say about me if I was gone? And what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift you were to everyone in that room, and to everyone that's listening now, because we talk about the business of speaking, and that's important. The logistics of speaking, and that's important. And big stages, and that's important. And all of this is important. But, and I say but because the word but negates everything that comes before it. That's why people say, no, I do that on purpose.
Yeah.
If I tell my kids, I love you, but, then they're like, oh. And I use the word but on purpose because it all is less than what I'm about to say.
I love that.
The power of the word creates the world in which we live. Not just the dirt beneath our feet, not just this, God spoke and the light was, and there's so much emphasis in that phrase because our words truly do create our existence. They create our experience, they create our world. We would not be where any of us are if people did not stand up and speak. If Esther didn't stand up and speak, an entire nation would have been annihilated. If prayers were not said on the knees by parents, our world would be different as we know it. I think about the reason that I speak. I think about my daughter who works, she has a fast food job right now. And I think about the stories that she comes home with. Do you know how much she is the brunt of someone's bad day? Mm-hmm. If someone doesn't get their fry order right, or she gets shakes thrown at her, and yet she gets up and goes to work every day. I send my kids out. I've got 3 new drivers in my house, and they're driving on the freeway next to the road raging people with crossbows. I kid you not.
I know.
The fact that the when you speak, the people that hear you are better people because of it. And they don't rage on the streets. And they don't throw shakes at my daughter. When people hear you speak, they're the heroes that get out of their car when they see another driver has lost consciousness and they put the car in a safe space. When people hear you speak, they pay the bill for the woman in front of them who can't afford her own groceries. When people hear you speak, they become better speakers. And so by extension and lateral generational movements, there are people who you will never, ever meet. And if you're listening, this means you too. the people that you will never, ever, ever meet who might save a life. It could be the next Florence Nightingale. It could, because you said something, because you were kind, because you inspired them. There might be a father who decides to not lay a hand on his son because of what you said. There might be a mom who thinks twice because of what you said. I know there are. There's not mites about it. It's just true. And I want to re-emphasize that point because, yes, the business is important, all of that stuff. But if we forget this, then none of that means anything.
And this is why the audience is here, right? This is the impact that we want to make. Yeah, we want to get paid to do it.
And that will come.
It's nice.
That will come. Don't worry about that.
But it's the point. It's the point.
So I did this project in college called the Voice Project. I'm sorry to bring it back. I did it with photography first, and I would go downtown and with a notebook, and I said, if you had one message to share with the world, write it down, I'll take your picture with it. And I just found the collection, but I'm restarting it. So as a part of the Voice Project, if you only had 2 minutes with the rest of the world before you had to make your exit, what would your message be?
If I only had 2 minutes, I'd be on the phone with my kids. You're so mean, making me cry today. No, you know my backstory, shared it in another episode, but there was a point where I was facing that. And the thing that I knew is that I would always make sure that the people that I love know that I love them. And I will say right before my parents went to Missouri, we had a rough night and there was a football game right before they left. And I almost didn't go just because I was like, oh, it was rough. Like, we'll still, leave some space and I'll go. But I just, in my head, it was just like, no, they're going on a trip. And my mantra, right, is like the people I love will know that I love them. And because of that, I went to the football game. And that was the last time I saw my dad alive. So I'd be on the phone with my kids because my kids know I'm not perfect, but they know I love them. And my son even says sometimes when I drop him off at school, he's like, Mom, you say that all the time. And I'm like, yep. Do you doubt it? No, Mom. All right. So that's what it would be. But the message I would leave to the world if I had 2 minutes left with them is just this life is too short. It is too short for fear. It is too short to play nice. You've heard that one from me. You heard that thought.
I needed that reminder today. Right? That was for me.
This life is too short to play nice. It is too short to play by rules that don't serve you. It is too short to let other people's voices be louder than your inner voice and the voice of your higher power. It is too short not to do what you came here to do. And that is to share your light. And the stylist in me, like no one else on this earth. And we talked about this in the last episode, what I found in looking at women and their bodies and their personality makeup and styling them that way is every single human being on this planet. No one else has ever been born with your personality, with your soul DNA, with your physical DNA, and has been put in the life experiences that you have had. Nobody, even if you're a twin, nobody has. And so there is a way that you see and interact with and experience the world that is as unique as your fingerprint. Mm-hmm. And this life is too short not to leave it all on the stage, in this case, right? Yeah. Not to leave it all on the field of life. So show up every day with intention. With today, wake up. How do I want to show up? Because life is too short not to.
Amen. Well, I can't think of a better way to just wrap up this episode. What I do want to say before you go is this. If someone's name has come to mind when you've been listening, send this episode to them. Just take a moment, pause right now, and send it to them. You can send it to them within the platform or copy it and text it to them. But I promise you, they need something that was said here today. I'm going to ask you, if you have the blessing of having your parents here on this earth still, reach out to them and tell them you love them. Even if you've had a heated argument recently, it's because of who you are that you tell them that you love them, not because of who anybody else is. If you have anyone that is like, oh, I should send them a text message and just remind them how much they're needed, or I was motivated by that speaker or by some person on the street, just anyone that has done you any good, go to the peak of human emotion and express gratitude. Or who that is, send this to them, share this with them. If you got this from someone, tell them thank you. Because, man, what you've shared with me has been personally, that last line that you said, life is too short to play nice, that's for me today, and with some things I got to tackle today. And I'm going to carry that little shoulder angel with me. So thank you.
Yeah, you can feel it in this room. You can feel it here.
In this very room.
Yes, I have sung that.
It was very big in the 90s. Thank you for being a part of the Marianne Hickman Show, and I will see you in the next episode.